J.R. Moore coming to you live from deep in the mountains of the Missouri Ozarks on Monday, the 23rd day of September, year of our Lord 2019. Welcome to the John Moore Show. We begin our shows with something very important, something that's probably banned in, I'm sure, in San Francisco public schools. That would be the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. In prep tip of the day, I want to encourage everybody to get their dental work caught up. It's pretty normal to not want to visit the dentist. I understand that. I appreciate it. On one hand, on the other, you really don't want to be going through any kind of crisis and also deal with dental pain, dental issues at the same time. So bite the bullet, so to speak, and get in there. Get it all caught up. You might want to do what I've done, which is get all those mercury amalgams out. That's helped me tremendously in my health. The human body and mercury are not compatible, in case you don't know that. We have patient waiting in the green room, my friend Sam Andrews. Sam is the proprietor of Freedom Center USA. The Facebook page is Freedom Center USA. And the telephone number down there in beautiful Lebanon, Missouri is 417-718-2597. Good morning, Sam.
Good morning, John. How are you this morning?
If I felt any better, it wouldn't be legal.
That's wonderful.
It is. Well, sir, everybody's waiting with bated breath to hear what the firearms tip of the week is, sir.
Well, I think last week we talked a little bit about a press check and how to properly do that to prepare for conflict. This week, I want to talk about practice and practicing with your handgun. We don't do this type of practice with live ammunition. We do it with something called a snap cap. It's a series of fake bullets. You only need 2 or 3 to accomplish the goals. And what I want to pass on to everybody today is that one of the best things you can do to improve your skills with a handgun is to practice your jam clearing drills. So we have several types of jams. We have stovepipes, we have double feeds, we have failures to extract, that type of thing. And there's a different technique for each one of these jam clearing, each one of these types of jams. There's a different technique that we use to clear the weapon system and to chamber around and get the gun back in the fight. And I would encourage people to research the techniques on YouTube or other places from reputable instructors. Difficult thing to explain on the phone or on the radio. It's a much easier thing to watch the proper technique being done. But work on clearing stovepipes, work on clearing double feeds. And that way, if you ever do have an issue with your pistol, you can get the gun back in the fight in a matter of seconds.
Absolutely. Well, at pistol class, at concealed carry class I did down at Freedom Center USA a few weeks back, I was in the process of demonstrating something, and I had a magazine failure. The base plate of one of my 1911 magazines just came off, and everything fell out. The spring came out. The snap caps came out. It was pretty humiliating, but to have that happen in front of the class. But and that brings up something I've also learned in the past is competition will simulate combat. Of course, it's as close as you can get, I believe. But you'll have double feeds and stovepipes and everything you can imagine when you're in competition, won't you, sir?
Yeah, it's a great way to test your equipment and to test your skills is to compete under pressure. The more pressure you can put on an experienced shooter, the better they'll become. Now, I don't recommend putting pressure on beginning shooters that are just learning how to use a gun, but for a guy that's had a little bit of training, he's had a few months to practice, getting into the competition game is an absolutely wonderful way to speed up your skills and to show you where your weaknesses are. And that's a very helpful thing to go through. That whole process will develop you as a gunfighter.
I agree, absolutely. A novice, a beginner, male or female, has enough to deal with without piling pressure on top of that. So let people, men and women, get the basics down, become comfortable with the basics and competent with the basics, and then when they're ready, go ahead and move them into the situation where they're building stress and possibly in competition, correct?
Oh, I absolutely agree. You know, when I was a young man, John, I competed in all different kinds of rifle competitions. I competed in bench rest competitions. I competed in hunter bench rest competitions. I competed in over-the-course NRA high-power competitions. I competed in silhouette competitions. I competed in sniper competitions. And I traveled around the country and competed in all of these different types of rifle competitions. And you know what it did for me is I learned specific things from each group of people that I competed against. I learned in the bench rest competitions, I learned how to read the wind. I learned about the vertical component of wind. I learned how to hand load ammo extremely precisely from the world-class bench rest shooters. From the sniper competition, guys, I learned about situational awareness, about identifying things of tactical significance. I learned about dealing with camouflage in a more effective way. In the silhouette competitions, I learned how to shoot offhand, how to become a better offhand shooter, where I had to shoot quickly from with no support, no bipod, no rear bag, just simply taking command of the situation, standing, and being able to fire an accurate shot. And that's what I learned from silhouette competition. In the high-power competition, I learned how whiny NRA high-power shooters are. But, I mean, in every single competition, there was something that I took away of value.
Well, I don't need to be have that shown to me, because I know firsthand the value of competition, and we're hoping, you and I are hoping, that the men and women listening to us will comprehend and understand the value of competition also. And it's a good thing. It's also fun. You meet interesting people that have similar interests, and it's hard to put a dollar value on the things that you learn when you attend these meet these people, talk to them, interview them, find out what they do, why they do it. It's hard to put a dollar value on it, isn't it, Sam?
Yeah, because there's such a variety of talent out there. I mean, human beings are amazing creatures. And when you see a group of human beings put under stress, different people handle different situations in different ways. They solve the problems with a different viewpoint or a different approach. And it's hard to spend a day or a weekend at a competition and not learn something of value. I mean, almost every competition I've ever been to, I took away something of real value that I could put in my toolbox, and it became a useful thing to know.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, let's say a person is their interest peaked, and I would think the beginning point to get involved in competition would be your local gun club, wouldn't it be?
Yeah, go to your local gun club's website and look at the matches that they have scheduled on their schedule. And you know that Glock has pistol competitions, IDPA has pistol competitions. There's PRS matches, what they call precision rifle matches, where you shoot steel. And they're just a lot of fun and a great way to get into the sport.
It is. It absolutely is. There was a time when I was a young man in high school that pretty much every public and private high school in the United States had a competitive rifle team. That was pretty ubiquitous nationwide. We're at a point now where it's almost non-existent, aren't we, sir?
Well, it certainly has hit an all-time low, but you know what? It's starting to come back. There are high schools out there yes, putting together skeet and trap teams, and it's really starting to catch on again. And I think that's a fantastic thing.
Well, I agree. And out here locally, we do have high schools involved in skeet and trap. But I'm talking about rifle marksmanship. Is there any resurgence of rifle marksmanship teams?
I haven't seen that as popular as the clay bird sports, but anytime you can shoot something that moves, that's a good thing. So I'm glad it's coming back on the trap and skeet area, and I hope that it leads people in the direction of more rifle teams.
I think we have a caller on hold here. I'm not sure. I heard some chatter in the background. My engineer, do we have a caller on hold? Okay. I'm hearing. Okay, never mind, Sam. Now I'm hearing things I don't need to be hearing here. Well, going to your local gun range, gun club, is the way to get started. And when you do that, you'll be beginning to immerse yourself into the gun culture, correct?
Yes, and I would caution people, especially if you get into the PRS matches or the more tactical matches. What works in a match isn't necessarily the best technique in an actual firefight. And so remember that when you're competing in matches that you're using techniques that promote your score in the match. You may or may not be doing the most logical or the safest thing to be doing in an actual conflict. So make sure your brain is able to compartment those two things and you understand the differences. Shooting in matches is not tactical training.
It is not. It develops certain skill sets. I recall when I was involved in pistol competition, one of the competitors had fabricated a release mechanism for his holster where this wire stuck up maybe 2 inches above the holster that he could smack it with his thumb and have the holster snap release so he felt he could more quickly draw his firearm. I looked at it, I thought, what a silly thing that is. I mean, I'm thinking about, real world and combat use to have this little device sticking up above the top of his holster. And I agree absolutely, Sam. The competition is not combat on one hand. On the other, it does build certain skill sets, especially marksmanship and magazine changes. I rarely see people in casual training on the range practice rapid magazine changes. I rarely see that.
Yeah, and that's a really important skill to have, particularly if you're doing three-gun competition. I actually like the three-gun competitions. I think they're the closest simulation to combat or gunfighting that you could possibly create. And the tactical matches that incorporate 2 or 3 gun scenarios is really, really a great place to start. I'm a big fan of 3-gun for newer shooters. I think that is just a tremendous way to learn how to handle your guns and to learn how to transition from a rifle to a pistol or a pistol to a shotgun.
Absolutely. I personally have not done 3-gun competition. I'm going to be looking around to see if I can find some of that within a reasonable drive for me. Man, I also plan on doing more training down there at Freedom Center USA, focusing primarily on precision marksmanship with a rifle. I'm pretty good with a pistol. That I don't need to be spending a lot of time and effort enhancing that, just keep my skill level up. But I'm far from being a world-class marksman with my rifle, and I can get those skills at Freedom Center USA, can't I?
Absolutely. We actually had a long-range hunting class yesterday at the Freedom Center. We had 5 guys come up from the South. A couple were from Oklahoma, a couple from southern Missouri, and it was a good class. The guys brought good equipment and good ammo, and they were getting ready for a hunt out west. and they wanted to get their new equipment sorted out. And boy, did we find some mechanical issues up front. And we found loose scope bases. We found loose scope rings. We found scopes that weren't level. We found guard screws on the stock that held the rifle into the stock that were loose. And so if you're going out hunting this fall, make sure you check the guard screws on your action. Make sure they're good and snug. And after you've tightened them, please go back and zero your weapon, because that'll change the point of impact of your gun.
Absolutely. These are kind of things that most hunters really don't have it in their brain to even think about, do they?
Well, you go hunting and you clean your gun up when you're done hunting, and you forget to check these things. And in the aircraft industry and the racing industry, we safety wire fasteners. We drill tiny little holes and run 30,000 stainless steel wire, and we twist it up so the fasteners can't unturn or loosen up. In the gun industry, nothing's safety wire. Generally, they use Loctite if something tends to vibrate loose. And with the heating and cooling of the gun, as you shoot it and it cools off, and then you shoot it and it cools off, these heat cycles will cause fasteners to loosen up. The vibration of the recoil, you've got third mode, fourth mode, and fifth mode vibrations running through the stock, the barrel, and the action when you fire a weapon system. The combination of the vibration and the heat cycles will actually cause your guard screws to loosen up. They'll cause your scope-based screws to loosen up. They'll cause your scope ring clamping screws to loosen up. Your scope cap screws will loosen up over time. And so you need to maintain these and check the torque on them on a regular basis.
Absolutely. We have a break coming up. The call number is 800-313-9443. We'll be back after the break.
Public Broadcasting Network depends on listener support of our advertisers and of our sponsors. We'd like to especially thank all of you who have taken advantage of our fundraiser with Front Sight Bonus. Those who are now Front Sight members, please train as soon as possible for your sake and for that of our nation. And please consider sharing your training and what you've learned when you arrive home. Republic Broadcasting Network has to stop promoting this fundraiser on air and on the website in just a few days. Dr. Ignatius Piazza, president of Front Sight, made a gracious exception to his no media rule for us at Republic Broadcasting Network. Thank you, Dr. Piazza. And once you've been to Front Sight, feel free to call your favorite host and share your experience on the air. We can continue this fundraiser without media help, but it'll be totally up to the listeners to spread the information. Please call Dan Sutterfield in Missouri at 573-465-2356, 573-465-2356. That's 573-465-2356.
As a listener of RBN, you're surely concerned about being informed and being ready for whatever may come. Please consider the following questionnaire as a soul-jarring wake-up call. If you answer no to more than two of these following questions, you probably aren't going to make it through any major disruption in our country. The questions were compiled by people that have been there. Are you really ready? Do you own your own firearm for the primary defense and protection of you and your loved ones? Have you ever been professionally trained to stand against life-threatening behavior? Have you ever practiced enough to fire 500 rounds during a 2 to 4 day time frame, day and night? Can you load, unload, fire, and clear a jam in total darkness? Have all the adults in your household been professionally trained? Are you, life and death, comfortable with your abilities with pistol, revolver, shotgun, and rifle? Are you aware that everything that you do to prepare for an emergency is a waste of time, money, and energy? If you haven't honed your abilities to their highest level to protect and keep what you have, do you have the repair parts that will most likely be needed for each of your firearm, and do you have the ability to install those parts? Could you completely clean every firearm you own? Are you aware that your body won't go where your mind hasn't been? In other words, without proper training, followed by regular practice, you probably will not win a gunfight. Well, how did you measure up? Take the once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to start correcting your deficiencies by receiving your Commander lifetime membership with Front Sight Firearms Training Facility. A one-time donation to RBN for $500 will give you a Commander lifetime membership at Front Sight as a tremendously huge thank you bonus. See details on RBN's webpage to make it happen. The clock is ticking. You had better be ready before it happens.
All right, we're back, ladies and gentlemen. Jaron Moore here on Monday, the 23rd of September. My website is thelibertyman.com. That's thelibertyman.com. You can see a photograph of myself standing on stage in Prague, Czech Republic, receiving the Prague Peace Prize. That was July of 2017. It was quite an honor to be there. And Prague is such a beautiful city. I got to walk across the Charles Bridge where the Czechs stopped the Vikings. That was quite a battle. We're going on a cruise. It will be fun. It will be educational. It will be romantic. Valentine's Day is right in the middle of the cruise. We're leaving Port Canaveral on the Harmony of the Seas Saturday, February the 9th. I'll be speaking in Orlando, Florida the day before on the 8th, by the way, and coming back the 16th. All the details at my website at thelibertyman.com. If you like our cruise director, Betsy Murphy, I'll be meeting Betsy later today and getting caught up on what's going on with the cruise. Betsy Murphy, our cruise director, will mail you a full-color brochure. Her telephone number, twice, slowly, 636-530-9502. I say again, 636-530-9502. Visiting with Sam Andrews, the proprietor of Freedom Center USA. Telephone number down there in beautiful Lebanon, Missouri is 417-718-2597. Sam, the nuances and the details of precision marksmanship are not well known to very many people, are they?
No, it's a very closely held group, and you kind of have to get in with people that are in the know a little bit to really learn the higher end skills. Wind reading is a difficult thing to do, and it's a very, very important skill for long range marksmen, and it's even harder to do at night. And so you really do have to have training. A lot of things in the precision marksmanship arena are counterintuitive. So you really, it really helps to have someone who's mastered these skills sort of explain to you the real world nuances of how things work.
Well, there's another part of this, and that's where you come in personally. I began working with special operations guys in 1967, and typically men involved in special operations do not like and will not stand in front of a class and instruct. They simply don't care for it. They don't have the public speaking skills. It's simply not who they are. So to have somebody who both has the skills like you do and have public speaking skills like you do to be able to teach a class, that's pretty special. And I want to compliment you and thank you on doing that, sir.
Well, I appreciate that. You know, I've worked hard on developing a wide range of skill sets so that later in life I could transfer this knowledge to people. And, you know, I'm 60-plus years old now, so it's a fairly easy thing for me to stand in front of a group of people and talk about these various concepts.
Absolutely.
It's an important thing, though, that when you get into the long-range shooting learning environment, that you let go of any preconceived notions, things that you've seen on the internet or that you've heard or that you think. Stick with what you see on the range and what your professional instructors teach you. We had a very interesting situation yesterday on the range. This guy, we were in a discussion about the vertical component of wind drift. A lot of people don't know when the wind blows your bullet to the right, it's also going to blow it low. When the wind blows your bullet to the left, it's going to blow it high. And we're talking about 100% full value crosswind.
Right.
And the looks of disbelief I get when I teach this in a class, it's remarkable because people just, it's puzzling. It's not intuitive. It's counterintuitive. So we got out on the range yesterday, and the guy took his first shot to 1,000 yards with his 6.5 Creedmoor. And it was a beautiful situation because the wind switched from full value right to left to full value left to right on 2 consecutive shots. And he hit high left and high right, and it's like the light bulb came on for him. He was like, oh, my God, I just saw what you were talking about.
Right. Well, at those extreme ranges, that's where that takes on a much greater significance. So if you're only going out to maybe 300 yards or so, it's not going to be very apparent at all. Maybe a tiny, tiny bit. But at 10 football fields, things change, don't they?
Yeah, it's an exponential curve wind drift. And so at 300 yards with a 30-06 or a 308, depending on what altitude you're at, a 10-mile-an-hour wind might blow you 4 to 6 inches left or 4 to 6 inches right and maybe an inch low or an inch high. But at 1,000 yards, 9 feet of wind drift horizontally might equal 1.5 feet of vertical, or at least a foot of vertical component, depending on your cartridge, your bullet, your twist rate of your barrel, that type of thing.
Amazing. Yeah. Well, that's something I certainly was not aware of, but it makes perfect sense to me because this bullet is a flying projectile, and it has a spin, and of course the spin is going to change things. We have a bottom of the hour break. The call number is 800-313-9443.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
Ladies and gentlemen, J.R. Moore here. We have a special promotion going on at Republic Broadcasting. This is a fundraiser for Republic Broadcasting involving the energy cleaner. Mail me a postcard. My address is at my website at thelibertyman.com. We pick a postcard every other Thursday. When your postcard is drawn out, you get to buy an energy cleaner for $215 instead of $285, $70 discount. $200 goes to Republic Broadcasting. You also get a 10% discount on my mattress pads. So get those postcards in, put your name, your telephone number, your email address on there, and when your postcard is drawn, you get to get an energy cleaner for $215 instead of $285. Mattress pads, 10% off. Help us out at Republic Broadcasting and help yourself to get an energy cleaner at a deep discount. It's a win-win situation for everybody. We hope you can get these postcards in soon. Thank you very much. All right, we are back, ladies and gentlemen. J.R. Moore here on Monday, the 23rd of September. My website is thelibertyman.com. That's thelibertyman.com. Something that's very fundamental, very foundational for health is water. Almost everybody who lives in a urban, suburban situation has sodium fluoride in their water. Well, we got a letter written by the former president of the Canadian Association of Dental Research, Dr. Hardy Limebeck, at my website. There's also a video interview with Dr. Limebeck. He's basically apologizing to the entire country for previously advocating sodium fluoride be in drinking water and be inside human beings. How humiliating would that be, to have to apologize to your whole country because you gave them the bad information? It's right there at my website at thelibertyman.com. Another health-related item, that would be the energy cleaner. I'm sitting on a small pad right now getting the energy cleaner signal as I speak. I go to bed and get a great night's sleep. I sleep as well as a small child every night. I wake up in the morning completely refreshed, full of energy, with no pain. You can also, if you got arthritis pain, what are you waiting for? Seriously, get yourself an energy cleaner. $285 shipping included to American zip codes. Everything's in stock right now. The energy cleaners, the mattress pads, ready to go. And I have a toll-free order line 24 hours a day. Here it is, 800-592-9543. I say again, 800-592-9543. Visiting with Sam Andrews, the proprietor of Freedom Center USA. The telephone number down there in beautiful Lebanon, Missouri is 417-718-2597. Sam, let's continue, sir.
Well, I got a call from a couple of your listeners this past week that don't listen to the radio show live because they're working, and they called me and asked me technical questions about ARs. And one of the questions I got, which I thought was very interesting, was the guy said, I have an AR-15. What's the one thing I can do to that AR-15 that will make it a more effective weapon in a STHF type scenario?
Right.
And I asked him if he had a good trigger on the AR, because the 7 to 8 pound triggers that come on a standard AR are terrible. And he said he did have a good trigger. And I asked him if it was a gas impingement gun or if it was a piston kitted gun. He said it was a gas impingement gun. And I said, well, there you have it. That's the first thing to do. Once you get a good trigger in a weapon system, the next thing to do to an AR-15 is probably to convert it from a gas impingement gun to a piston-kitted gun. And people say, well, why is that? Well, an AR-15 that's gas impingement, that's shooting suppressed ammo or with a suppressor on the gun, is going to get dirty really quick. They usually start short stroking and not cycling reliably at about 200 to 300 rounds. And you would have to take the gun apart, completely clean it to get it back in the fight. But with a piston kit, the type of kits that we do and the way we modify them and the spring and the buffer, if you convert your gas impingement AR, your close quarters battle AR-15, to a piston kit, it will run over 4,000 rounds with a suppressor without being cleaned, reliably like a sewing machine. And that's a very cost-effective, very valuable thing to do with your AR-15 if you have a go-to gun like that you're going to use for home defense.
Now, this conversion, is this something that an average guy or gal should attempt to undertake? Is there special training, special tools? What does that involve?
No, I wouldn't recommend that the average person do it. And you do need some special tools for a barrel nut. You also need a forearm that will allow room for the op rod system. You need to machine the barrel nut to get the control bushings in the right spot. You need to set the op rod length, so there's some machine work there. You kind of have to know what to do with the buffer and the spring system to get everything to work together. It's a little bit more complicated. I've seen do-it-yourself shows. They have a beard scale, where if something's easy to do, it's a mustache, and if it's sort of a little bit difficult, it's a short beard, and if it's really difficult, they give it the 3 beard rating, which is a really long beard. That's something really hard. This would probably be closer to the 3 beard aspect. If you're not a gunsmith or a machinist, I probably wouldn't attempt it.
Right. So what's the turnaround time and the cost to accomplish this, sir?
Normally, when someone sends us an upper or a whole AR-15 and they want a piston kit put on it, it takes about 10 days to get the piston kit in. You can prepay that, though. You don't have to be without your AR. So if you prepay for the kit, it takes about 2 days to turn it around and get it back to you.
That's really quick. That's really quick. Well, and that's, of course, the consequence of the men working on it have done this many times. So it's a known quantity. They're very familiar with the techniques, the tools. And then would there be a test firing, or would there not be a test firing upon completion?
Oh, there's more than test firing, John. When we do this, we set it up right. We want to know what ammo you're going to shoot in this gun to defend your life with. So you send us 20 rounds of ammo when you send us the gun, and then we'll set the buffer and the spring system to work perfectly with your ammo. And you need to do that because you can set a gun up like on a day like today where it's 75 degrees outside and the weather's great, and then you don't have enough bolt velocity to run the gun when it's 25 or 30 degrees out in the wintertime. And so you need to understand where you have to be hot and where you have to be cold on your bolt velocity with a given ammunition and a given barrel. Because all barrels are not created equal. They do not make the same amount of pressure. Their lands and groove configurations are different. Their diameters are actually vary quite a bit. And that in combination with different pressure ammos means you absolutely have to test.
Now, okay, so the conversion's finished. You've tested with the specific ammo that the shooter has in mind. What does that mean if the shooter decides to use different ammo? I'm not sure what the consequences of that would be, if any.
Okay, well, let's give a real-world example that happens all the time. The guy's got an AR-15. He sends it to us to convert. He buys some Hornady ammo. It's good ammunition. It's got like a 53-grain VMAX or 52-grain or 50-grain VMAX bullet in it, and it's real effective for CQB work. And he gets about 400 rounds of that. And then he sees online, he sees an ammo sale. I can buy 2,000 rounds of 5.56 NATO ammo, overrun surplus, for $700, and that's cheap. And then he gets the gun, and he's like, well, this ammo is quite a bit hotter pressure-wise than my Hornady ammo. And with the piston kits that we install, you have 5 different settings for gas ports. So all he has to do is click his gas block setting 1 down, and his bolt velocity will run the same with the NATO ammo as it did with the Hornady.
Okay, well, the knowledge to set it 1 down as opposed to 2 down, where would that come from? He gets the ammo in, and how does he know to turn down 1? Where does that knowledge come from?
Okay, so what we typically do, we have 5 different gas level settings on our piston systems. And let me go over what those are. So the most amount of gas is used in an Arctic environment, ultra cold weather, wintertime pressure, gives you the right bolt velocity. In the spring and summer, we go the next click down, we take a little gas away. When you go to a suppressor in the wintertime, we go to the 3rd click. A suppressor in the summertime is the 4th click, and then the 5th click is off. If you're shooting subsonic ammo and you don't want any action noise or bolt cycling noise, then you go to that 5th position, and you can shoot the gun and cycle it by hand very quietly.
Uh-huh. Well, that sounds like all the options a person would ever need to me.
Absolutely. I mean, the way we do these piston kits, it allows you to shoot a broad range of ammunition in every conceivable circumstance.
Now, to make these different adjustments, does the rifle need to be disassembled at all?
No, it can be done with your fingertips in 1 second.
Oh, really? How handy. How handy.
How convenient.
Yeah. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. Well, I've been watching this AR-15 phenomenon for the past 40 years, and it seems like about, I'm going to say 20 to 25 years ago is when it really started taking off and taking on a life of its own, to the point where it's become quite a phenomenon in the American gun culture, hasn't it?
Well, it really has. It's far and away now the most popular rifle. When I was a child in the early 1960s, there was a guy named Chuck Connor on a TV show called The Rifleman, and everybody was in love with their lever action Model 94 to go deer hunting with, or their Marlin 336. And today's kids, they grow up and see these high-tech ARs with lasers on them and with piston kits and suppressors on them, and it's just a whole different world.
It is. Well, I've got the introduction to Chuck Connor's TV show on my website. It's only about 6 or 8 seconds of him shooting a 130-year-old rifle 12 times in 4 seconds, I believe it is. It could have been 15 times in 5 seconds. The reason I have that there is to show people that high-capacity magazines and fast-shooting rifles have been around a really, really long time, haven't they, Sam?
Oh, for hundreds of years. You know, a guy like Jerry Nicklick, if you can get on YouTube and watch this guy, and he's probably one of the best revolver shooters that has ever lived. And Jerry will take a revolver on video, on a clock, on a timer, and he will shoot 6 rounds into a human silhouette from 7 yards away, reload his revolver, and shoot 6 more rounds in under 3 seconds.
That's pretty amazing. I've seen some similar demonstrations. A gentleman with a fiberglass recurve bow shoot as fast as a semi-automatic rifle. It's a matter of training and discipline and desire, isn't it?
Yeah, and you know, these legislators that think they're going to legislate out of existence high-capacity evil, they're crazy. It's impossible. The ingenuity of human beings, we talked about this at the beginning of the show, human beings are remarkable. Their problem-solving skills are amazing, and it doesn't matter what kind of barrier you throw in them, they're going to find a way to do what they want to do.
Right, right. Well, one of the things that U.S. military officers learn, at least they should be learning, and I believe many are taught, is don't tell your men how to solve the problem. Just tell them what the problem is and let them solve it. And that's good advice for a leader, isn't it?
Absolutely. If you can't delegate, you can't lead. If you want to micromanage, you probably shouldn't be a manager.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I learned that many times in different aspects of my life, and it certainly applies here in the gun culture. Okay, so there's no backlog that if I know many of our listeners have AR-15s. There's no backlog of a clog, so to speak, of rifles waiting to be fixed at your location, Sam?
Well, I have custom rifle builds that we do for people. You know, I've probably got 9 barrels waiting on 1 barrel to go to the nitriders. And so on these high-end custom rifle builds, I've probably got a backlog of 20 guns that I need to complete. But on the AR stuff where parts are available, we can turn that around usually in less than a week, as long as the parts are all in the door.
Right, right. Well, that's the main thing, is get the parts there first, and then you're good to go, aren't you?
Yeah, if you want to have something done to your AR and you want it done quickly so that the gun's not out of your hands for very long, then you want to pre-order and pay for all the parts up front. When all the parts get here, I give you a call and say, hey, all your stuff's here. Send me your receiver, send me everything, and then we'll get it turned around for you in a couple days.
My personal preference for a precision rifle is a 2.5-pound trigger. So let's say I call you up and I say, Sam, I have an AR-15 Colt H-bar. I want to get a 2.5-pound trigger installed on it. What do I do next?
Just send me the lower.
That's it. You got
send me a check. Send me a check for the trigger and send me the lower, and I can do that in an hour.
Okay. All right. I did have a Colt H-bar for decades, and it was my grandson's 21st birthday gift to him. But the trigger isn't worth a damn on there, quite frankly.
Yeah, the Colt The Colt rifles, I don't know if you saw this last week, but Colt came out and said they'll no longer produce AR-15s for civilians.
Well, no, crocodile.
And,
the product is overpriced for the market, in my opinion. What do you think?
Well, there's different grades, different levels of quality of ARs, and Colt is on the lower end of the spectrum. If you want to know the truth about a Colt AR-15, it's kind of like the 1960s called and wants their technology back.
Right.
Their metallurgy is below mediocre, their quality is below mediocre, and their price is out of sight, way high. So I would never recommend that someone buy a Colt AR-15 in the first place.
Right. Well, at one time, we're looking at 35, 40 years ago, they were the gold standard, and there was no competition. But competition has stepped up to the plate and changed things, hasn't it?
Let me tell you something, John. We get these high-end billet receivers that are Type 3 hard anodized that fit together perfectly with no slop. Everything's square. The machine works perfect. They are headlong football fields ahead of Colt.
Amazing. Here's our break. Call numbers 800-313-9443.
Tired of being lied to by mass media? It's growing more and more apparent today that news is received less and less through standard media outlets. Even with a growing audience every day, RBN is beginning to direct more efforts into social media. Social media and the use of the internet is fast becoming the primary source of people for news, regardless of demographic. RBN has set out to provide some of the best news on the internet through republicbroadcasting.org, and also has begun to use the tools to our advantage by way of social media. Republic Broadcasting is now operating a Facebook page to function as yet another avenue to have our collective voice reach new audiences across not only America, but across the globe as well. The Facebook page features not only news, but also an RBN player to listen to our broadcast. Get involved by visiting facebook.com/Republic Broadcasting and liking our page and share it with your friends and family, because you can handle the truth.
All right, we're back, ladies and gentlemen. Jerry Moore here on Monday, the 23rd of September, visiting with Sam Andrews, the proprietor of Freedom Center USA. The Facebook page is Freedom Center USA. The telephone number down there in beautiful Lebanon, Missouri is 417-718-2597. Let's continue, Sam.
Well, we've talked a little bit about what to do with your AR to enhance its capability. And so it might be worthwhile to discuss different price points. We talked about Colt being pretty old technology and very overpriced. Let's talk about what kind of an AR would you buy based on your budget if you wanted an AR-15 to defend your home. I've seen some DPMS products that work extremely well, and they have good, accurate barrels on them, and they're under $800. So if you're looking for an AR that's a decent quality and isn't going to break the bank, the DPMS product line, that's a decent place to start. If you're looking for something that you're going to suppress, that you want to put a suppressor on and you want to build a really effective CQB weapon and you have a little more cash in your pocket, you don't live paycheck to paycheck, I would look at an Adams Arms piston-kitted AR with a nitrided barrel. Now, if you're looking for something high-end and you've got the cash available to do it, give me a call and we'll build you something that's significantly better than either of those options, but you'll spend another $500-600. So those are three good places to look in the AR-15, three different price points. And, if you're not getting something real and really effective or more effective for your money, why spend more money?
Now, the DPMS, do they offer ARs with the piston-driven and an upgraded trigger?
They generally don't offer any really effective piston-kitted guns, but if you don't have a lot of money today and you need an AR, you need a rifle to defend your home with, you can buy a DPMS rifle and you can use it effectively to defend your home with. And then later on down the road, you can send it to me. We can convert it to a piston kit down the road, and you've got something that's really, really reliable.
It sounds like it. It sounds like it. Well, whenever I'm looking at a rifle and thinking about buying it, or I'm just testing it and inspecting it, I'm very interested in the trigger pull, and I'm very interested in the sights. Those are two things that I'm very interested in. There are certain things within the gun culture that are well known. For example, almost all Ruger rifles, almost all the time, unless something's changed, have come with bad triggers, haven't they?
Well, I would never keep a trigger on a bolt gun that I purchased. As a matter of fact, I don't buy bolt guns. I build custom bolt guns, and I put a jewel trigger on my actions. And the jewel trigger is that, and the and shoots are probably the two premier bolt gun triggers in the world. You can set them anywhere from 4 ounces of trigger pull up to 3 pounds, 4 pounds if you like. There's different springs that can be substituted for different ranges of pull. And then you can fine-tune them with pressure screws. But with a bolt gun, specifically, you
for here, our second hour on Monday, the 23rd of September. The prepper tip of the day, I want to encourage all of you to get all your dental work caught up. Complex dental work may take up to a year. I hope we got 13 months before things start falling apart. I hope we do, but the prepper tip of the day is to get started, bite the bullet, so to speak, no pun intended, and get that dental work all caught up. You'll be very glad you did. This is Firearms Monday, visiting with Sam Andrews, the proprietor of Freedom Center USA. The telephone number down there in beautiful Lebanon, Missouri is 417-718-2597. Sam, we got a caller on hold here. We got Ty in Texas. Good morning, Ty.
From earlier.
Good
morning,
Ty,
gentlemen.
sir. Yes, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. Sam, I took your suggestion from earlier this summer to teach myself how to take that Glock 19 slide apart and get some of those more intricate pieces and that striker and all that cleaned up. And it really wasn't that difficult. I just wanted to publicly thank you for encouraging me to do that and then ask you a question. As I was performing that maintenance, it occurred to me there's been quite a few rounds to that barrel. At what point on a Gen 3 Glock 19, Sam, in terms of round count, would you say it's time to replace the barrel?
Well, I would say that the Glock barrels, they're melanited. And I would say that as long as you haven't overpressured the barrel in any way or had any ammo issues with overpressure, I would say you could probably shoot 20,000 rounds through that barrel.
Oh, wow. Okay, good. All right, I got some life left.
Now,
and then...
yeah, you probably have a ways to go. The other thing is, when the accuracy starts to degrade significantly, then it's time to change the barrel. The gun will tell you.
Okay, great. And then a quick follow-up. I remember not too long ago when I first got into firearms back in, the late 1998 or so, where you get your little gun cleaning kit and it came with a little bottle of oil and, go to the range and plank, and then put the oil on the gun, and you wouldn't get it out again. And, going to the range was, maybe a box of ammo. Well, things have changed since I was a kid back then, and I've switched over from gun oil to using grease, but I've come to find out that even now I'm still in the Stone Age on lubrication. Can you provide your recommendation for lubrication?
Are you saying for a handgun?
Okay, well, I use it all for it all, but,
Okay, well, each gun design requires lubrication in specific points, different lubrication. For example, on a bolt gun, a rifle, you need grease on the back of the lugs, a thin film of grease. You need grease on the cocking ramp, and you need grease on the extraction ramp, wherever it is on the design of your bolt gun. So on the other areas, you're going to want a synthetic oil. Now, on a handgun like a semi-auto, you're going to want grease on the slide tabs, but you're going to want oil on the barrel and on the slide tracks. And so depending on your gun design and what area of that gun you're specifically lubricating will determine whether you use a grease or an oil. And then you get into desert conditions and everything changes. You need a completely different lubrication procedure.
Sam, is high-temperature wheel-bearing grease something that you would steer away from? Is there a particular product that you recommend?
Well, in the grease areas, I like the white lithium greases. The moly has kind of the ability to shingle on itself, and I don't prefer the molybdenum-based greases. I like the lithium grease for a handgun or for a rifle. So I like Mobile One synthetic oil, 10W30. Unless you're in Arctic conditions, then you can use OW20. It just kind of depends on the environment, the area of the planet you're in, what type of weapon system. But there's an optimal lubricant for every part of your gun. Some places need grease, some need oil, and you need to kind of have that lined out to get real good runability on the firearm.
it's probably not this simple, but would it be the grease goes where you have metal on metal rubbing together and otherwise oil?
Well, the grease goes in places that have small areas of contact and high shear pressures. Those are the areas that require grease, like the cocking ramp on a bolt gun or the small slide tabs on a Glock. The areas that need oil are where you have lots of surface area for contact and you've got lots of motion, long travel.
Excellent. I'm tracking on that 100%. Thank you for taking my call, guys. Have a great day.
Okay. Thank you for the call, Ty.
Thanks for the call, Ty.
The call number is 800-313-9443. If you got a question or comment about anything to do with firearms, optics, ammunition, training, give us a call. Let's continue, Sam.
Let's talk a little bit about triggers, because I think it's something that a lot of people don't necessarily know a lot about, and it's useful information. With a bolt gun trigger, when you get below about 3.5, 4 pounds, you start to get in an unsafe situation because most trigger designs are not balanced lever designs. And what that means is you've got different arms, control arms or mechanisms in the trigger, and you have pivot points. And so if there's more mass on one side of the pivot point than the other, then that trigger design is more susceptible to releasing the firing pin if you drop or bump the gun. Because inertia affects one side of the pivot pin, the lever that has more mass, than it does the lighter side. And so things tend to want to move when they get bumped or dropped. The reason I like the dual trigger design so much is because it's a 3-lever balanced design. You can set that trigger with extremely light, crisp trigger pull, and you don't ever have to worry about the thing going off and when it's dropped or bumped, as long as you adjusted it properly. It's a great performing trigger, and it's just the premier top of the pinnacle of trigger design on planet Earth for bolt guns.
I was trained to test the safety of a trigger on a rifle by holding the rifle by the stock or the barrel, and then smacking the bottom of the buttstock against the floor, pretty hard, to see if that will get the trigger to release.
Yeah, and you can get marginal triggers to release the fire pin by dropping them on the butt pad. But here's the interesting thing. You're almost, not quite, but almost 90 degrees to the trigger surfaces, the sear surfaces when you do that. When you drop one trigger guard down, now you're in a situation where very little force can cause that trigger to accidentally release the firing pin.
So that would be a better test, to drop it trigger guard down first.
Yeah, but you're going to damage the gun. You don't have a rubber pad on your butt like you do on the other test.
You have to have, I would avoid contact with the trigger guard, obviously, and make contact with a carpeted or soft surface on something, on the stock front and back. But that's a good test. I was not aware of that test before just now.
Yeah, I mean, when you drop the gun at different angles, depends on your trigger design, but you get 90 degrees to the radial vector of the arm and the pivot pin, and you can set a trigger off that's not a balanced lever design. You can set those off with very little force. You don't have to drop it from very high up, and that's what that's why it's really, really important to talk to a real professional when you go to change triggers or you go to adjust triggers. This is not something you want to do with advice from an internet expert.
No, and attempt to do it yourself, because you can end up with a very dangerous situation, couldn't you?
Absolutely. And Remington had a bunch of lawsuits on people where their Remington 700s had accidentally fired. And that's because Remington had a unbalanced 2-lever side plate trigger design. And people didn't clean those triggers out, and they got sticky, and they'd fire on closing, or they'd fire when dropped, or fire when bumped, and people were getting shot. But you put a jewel trigger on a Remington 700, and you'll never have a problem.
Now, that's a brand, jewel trigger?
Yes, Jewell, and they make them for Remington 700s. They make them for older Winchester Model 70s, and they make them for AR-15s. We don't use them in the AR-15s because there's a better AR-15 trigger design out there that uses linear springs and gives you a lot more hammer speed, and which gives you better cold weather ignition reliability.
Now, explain the difference between hammer speed and lock time, if you would, please.
Okay, well, of course, the equation for energy is mass times velocity squared. Okay, so hammer speed is the velocity of the hammer at impact, generally, and lock time is the time it takes from the moment you release the sear or pull the trigger, which releases the sear, till the time that the firing pin actually engages the primer.
And is there a way to test that time? How is that done?
Well, you can test it with some electronic equipment and oscilloscope if you want to test it. But the bottom line is you really should be more focused on having enough firing pin energy to light the toughest primer out there in weather. That's kind of the threshold your firing pin and trigger system need to meet. And we've got a new trigger design for the ARs, AR-15 and AR-10s. It's just amazing. This guy in Minnesota developed this trigger. It uses a torsional spring on the hammer, and it uses 2 linear springs on the hammer. And it's a genius design. This guy, when you cock the hammer, the linear springs are pressing below the pivot pin of the hammer. So it lightens up the friction on the sear, so you get a light, crisp trigger pull. And then as you release the hammer, and the hammer starts to travel towards the firing pin, when it gets 45 degrees from impact, now the linear springs are above the pivot point, and they're driving the hammer home, and they give you tremendous hammer speed, incredibly reliable cold weather ignition on an AR-15 or an AR-10 weapon system.
Well, everything changes in extreme cold, doesn't it, Sam?
Sure does. Everything gets harder.
Yep. Well, for people who haven't done that, my Friday guest has talked a few times about Minnesota winters and having the first time he had his eyeballs freeze open, and lubrication has to be different also in extreme below zero weathers, don't they?
Yeah, you need a thinner lubricant in cold weather, and you need to use lubricants that are hydrophobic. In other words, they're not going to absorb water. You need coatings that are hydrophobic. I mean, it's a whole different game when you get below 20 degrees Fahrenheit.
It is. It is absolutely a whole different game, and not being aware of that could be have very dangerous, if not fatal, consequences, couldn't it?
Well, one common mistake that hand loaders make, they make Magnum primers, right? That have more brisance or more fire when you light the primer off. They give you more reliable cold weather ignition. But a lot of guys, they hand load for their 300 Win Mag or their 300 Ultra Mag or their 300 Norma Mag, 7mm Remington Mag. They're going to use Magnum primer. That makes sense, right? Use a Magnum primer and a Magnum cartridge. Well, actually, it doesn't necessarily make sense, because in warm weather, think 30, 25 degrees and warmer, a standard Federal 210 primer will give you much more consistent ignition and better accuracy. If you're using a 308, a non-Magnum cartridge in 10-degree weather, you better have a Magnum primer in that case, or you may not even light the powder column off. So the Magnum primers that are available for large rifle cartridges the large Magnum primers. The general rule of thumb is you use a Magnum primer on a Magnum cartridge, you use a standard primer on a standard cartridge. That's horse hockey. The truth is, you want to use a Magnum primer below 20 degrees Fahrenheit on any large rifle cartridge. And you want to use a standard 210 type primer above 25 degrees on any cartridge, whether it's a Magnum or a standard. And see, a lot of people don't realize that we should call them standard primers and cold weather primers is what we should call them.
Well, that would make more sense. Let's get that memorandum off to the manufacturer and make sure that they make that change.
Good luck with that one.
I know. Well, these kind of factoids, we have a lot of listeners in the cold areas of the country, and I'm sure some of them are reloaders. They're getting information that could literally save them lives, either from criminals or from a hungry grizzly bear.
If you live in grizzly country or you live in Wyoming or Montana, northern Colorado, northern Wisconsin, northern Minnesota, South Dakota, North Dakota, you live in places like that, you better have Magnum primers. You better have a hot primer in the cartridges that you use outdoors. Because if a grizz or you get threatened by a criminal and you drop the hammer on somebody and that firing pin hits that primer and that powder column doesn't light, you may be in big trouble.
Real big trouble. You may end up being dinner for a grizzly bear.
Absolutely. Yeah, I would never be in a cold weather environment in grizzly country without a Magnum primer in my ammunition. And I don't care if it's a 30-06, a 308, or a 300 Win Mag or a 300 Ultra Mag. If you're in cold temperature conditions, think below 25 degrees, you better have a Magnum primer in your cartridge.
Hold that thought. We got a break. We'll be right back.
Folks, we're living in a world the likes of which we've never perceived any clearer than we do now. The plan for global governance has been in the works for generations and would have likely been achieved by now but for the fact that the globalists left open their Achilles heel. With all their tools, Federal Reserve System, fiat currency, no child left behind, and then Common Core education introduced to our schools to dumb us down, vaccines, pharmaceuticals to lobotomize us, GMO foods, insertion of compromised or bought and paid for politicians, judges, mainstream media propaganda, all pieced together like a puzzle designed to ultimately bring the world under submission. But with all their strategy, they forgot one thing: knowledge. And knowledge is power. With knowledge, their bombardment is nullified. Folks, with that, as brilliant and knowledgeable as you've become, among the wisest audience of any radio audience in the world, and you are, I want you to take a moment to reflect and ask yourself, how much of that knowledge did I obtain from Republic Broadcasting Network? How high has my consciousness been raised since I've been a listener? How fast am I now able to discriminate truth from fake news by being a Republic Broadcasting listener? How clear am I now able to see the world since I've been listening to RBN? Ask yourselves those questions, folks. Then ask yourself, what is that knowledge worth to me? Like my morning coffee, how would I survive without it? A voice of truth in a sea of lies. Do we not all need to make sure it survives? Like public broadcasting, we are now finding we can only survive with listener support. Censorship, advertisers being attacked, truth itself being attacked. It's the only way through this. We at Republic Broadcasting humbly ask you to become a supporter. Look at your budget and make a determination of what Republic Broadcasting is worth to you and what you can afford on a monthly basis. Go to republicbroadcasting.org and pledge $20, $30, $40, $50, if possible, $100 a month or more if it's affordable. Click the donate button and become a regular monthly donor. Assure both us and yourself that Republic Broadcasting truth will continue to flow like that morning coffee. The network thanks you.
It's happening, ladies and gentlemen. We here at RBN are working with Front Sight Firearms Training Institute to bring our audience the best in combat, tactical, and defensive firearms training. Whether you're a private citizen who is new to firearms or you have a concealed weapon permit, and want a level of trading that surpasses what you've received from your local gun range. Front Sight provides priceless education and skills taught by seasoned law enforcement, military, and private citizen instructors to levels that far exceed law enforcement and military standard. With nearly 1 million responsible citizens trained from every town, city, and state from across the United States, Front Sight has bolstered the Patriot movement to a whole new level. Contact Dan Sutterfield by phone at 573-762-2356 or 573-465-2356 or shoot him an email at domedan, DOMEDAN, at hotmail.com. This is a limited time opportunity. Don't miss it.
All right, we're back, ladies and gentlemen. J.R. Moore here on Monday, the 23rd of September. We are going on a cruise. We are. I'll be going. Leon Green will be going. Listeners will be going. It's going to be a lot of fun. You'll learn a lot. We'll have time to talk uninterrupted at length. Have dinner together every evening. We'll have get-togethers during the day when we're not in port. And, of course, Valentine's Day is in the middle of the cruise. We leave the 9th of February, return the 16th. Details at my website at libertyman.com. If you don't have internet access, and I know many of you don't, just give our cruise director a call. She'll mail you a very nice full-color brochure. Our cruise director, Betsy Murphy, I'll be seeing her later today. Here's Betsy's telephone number, 636-530-9502. I say again, 636-530-9502. Visiting with Sam Andrews, the proprietor of Freedom Center USA. That telephone number down in Lebanon, Missouri is 417-718-2597. Let's continue, Sam.
Well, John, I want you to know my wife's put in for vacation days so we can go on the cruise in February. So we're kind of hoping she gets a yes from the company she works for.
Well, that's a positive move in the right direction, and how long will it take to get an answer back?
Well, she's still waiting for an answer on the days over Christmas that she asked off for, so I'm not holding my breath.
Okay. All right. Well,
these big companies that...
It's a big company, and she's got to go through different layers of bureaucracy, it sounds like, possibly.
Yeah, they're not real quick about getting back to her, but hopefully we'll have an answer soon. So we were talking about primers in cold weather. Generally, if you're in a wet environment, you want to use a thinner synthetic oil. If you're in a hot environment, in a jungle environment, you can use a 10W30 synthetic oil. I don't recommend gun lubes because they don't outperform these high-end synthetic oils, and their gun oils are way more expensive. You can buy a quart of Mobil 1 for $8. It'll last you. It'll lubricate all your firearms for 5 years. And we recommend these synthetic oils. They work extremely well. Now, when you get into a desert environment or a mountainous environment, then we go to a dry lube system. We use graphite dry lube sprays, and we don't use petroleum lubricants in those environments because the surface tension of the petroleum lubricants will attract and hold dust and grit.
Right. Absolutely. We got a caller on hold here. We got Fred in Wisconsin. Good morning, Fred.
Yeah, good morning, guys. I just have a quick question for you, not to change the subject too much. But we were up in camping in central Wisconsin, and late at night we had to let our dog out, and this is an area where it's got some thick woods and ponds and all that. Really great place. Make a long story short, my lady had this light that she would go out with the dog, and it was extremely bright. And I remember Sam talked about lights that you could attach to a gun or whatever. And I was just wondering, Sam, if you could give me an idea. I think you said something at the time about buying a light like that for about $150. What can you tell me about that? Because I really want to get one of these.
Okay, so there's 2 LED lights out that we've just tested in the past 3 weeks that we've made a decision to go to on our manufactured products, and we try to use the highest end, best performing thing available. So on our weapon systems now, we're using a Claris 12 XGT, with an Olight 3500 milliamp 10 amp high drain lithium cell. And we use that same cell in a Nitecore, I believe it's called an N33. It's a headlamp that you can wear on your helmet or on if you're climbing or on your head. It comes with an expandable headband that mounts to your head, and those two lights have just outperformed everything that we've ever used before, and we're switching to those for all the new systems.
And can you charge them?
Yeah, the lithium cells can be recharged over 500 times.
Okay, and does that come with the light, the facility for recharging is like a kit?
Generally not. Now the Claris, I think the Claris did come with a 3600 milliamp Claris battery, except that we get better performance from the light when we use a high drain Olight 18650 cell.
Now this is something I can buy directly from you?
Yeah, we sell them all the time.
And then I can use it like a flashlight if I need to, or I could figure out a way to attach it to a weapon.
Well, we mount them to what we have mounts and pressure switches and tail cap systems that we use on the weapon systems. We configure them on your weapon system for you. You just need a Picatinny rail at 6 o'clock on your forearm, and we can handle it from there.
So I can use it like a flashlight in a situation where I got to walk the dog in the middle of nowhere, or I can put it together some way to use it on a weapon.
That's what you'd want. You'd want the headlamp for that. You'd want the 33 for that. You'd want the Nitecore 33 for walking the dog. You want a different light system for your weapon. Because when you mount that thing to your weapon, you can't just take it off in 2 seconds and use it as a flashlight. It's got a momentary switch, and it's kind of hard mounted to your weapon. So you're going to want to get a 33 headlamp from Nitecore for the dog, and you want to get a different light for your weapon system.
What is the lumen system? You've talked about that in the thousands. What would be, what I consider a bright light like she had outside? What would that entail?
Well, most people consider a 500 lumen light extremely bright. The weapon system light that we mount is 1,800 lumens.
Yes, and I want something super bright.
It's 1,600 lumens on the headlamp, and the headlamp has 5 brightness settings. So you can go down to 5 lumens, or you can go up to 1,600 lumens just by tapping the switch. Every time you tap it, when you turn it on, it's on its lowest setting on the headlamp. Okay? When you turn it on, when it goes from off to on, it goes to the lowest setting. You tap it again, it goes up 1 brightness level. Tap it again, it goes up to the next brightness level, and so on. And when you get to the brightest level, if you tap it again, it goes back to the lowest. That's how the headlamp works. Now, the tactical weapon system light is the opposite of that. When you hit that momentary switch, it's on full bright turbo mode, 1,800 lumens, blind the guy that's in your face trying to hurt you.
Okay. Well,
hold
just in closing...
Hold that thought. We got a break. We'll be right back.
All right.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
Ladies and gentlemen, J.R. Moore here. We have a special promotion going on at Republic Broadcasting. This is a fundraiser for Republic Broadcasting involving the Energy Cleaner. Mail me a postcard. My address is at my website at thelibertyman.com. We pick a postcard every other Thursday. When your postcard is drawn out, you get to buy an energy cleaner for $215 instead of $285, $70 discount. $200 goes to Republic Broadcasting. You also get a 10% discount on my mattress pads. So get those postcards in, put your name, your telephone number, your email address on there, and when your postcard is drawn, you get to get an energy cleaner for $215 instead of $285. Mattress pads, 10% off. Help us out at Republic Broadcasting and help yourself to get an energy cleaner at a deep discount. It's a win-win situation for everybody. We hope you can get these postcards in soon. Thank you very much. All right, we're back, ladies and gentlemen. We're back. J.R. Moore here on Monday, the 23rd of September. My website is thelibertyman.com. If you want the health and energy to do the things you want to do, maybe it's become a precision marksman. You want to wake up pain-free with more energy to do those fun things, get yourself an energy cleaner. Arthritis pain is no fun. It slows you down. It distracts you. The energy cleaner will help with your arthritis pain. $285, shipping included, American zip codes. Keep in mind the following. I offer a 90-day money-back guarantee on the energy cleaner. That's from me to you personally. The mattress pads that go with them, I just got a very full inventory in just last week. They do vary in price depending on what you need. Twin size, full, queen, king, California king. I got everything in stock. Everything's right there at my website at thelibertyman.com, where you can place your order using PayPal, MasterCard, Visa, or you can call my toll-free order line 24 hours a day. Here it is, 800-592-9543. I say again, 800-592-9543. Visiting with Sam Andrews, the proprietor of Freedom Center USA, world-class tactical training. Telephone number down there in Lebanon, Missouri is 417-718-2597. Fred, let's continue with your question, sir.
Yeah, on that point, I just wanted to say we purchased a queen-size pad from you and placed it in our RV, and first thing it gets loaded before anything else is the energy cleaner. And we spent a couple of weeks in the woods, and that really works. But in closing, I just want to point out that this anybody that wants to visit central Wisconsin, the Ho-Chunk tribe do a really good job there. They've been involved in that part of the world for a long time, and they've recently acquired this large campground. They put a ton of money in it. It's 15 minutes from the Dells from the time you put the key in the door till you're in downtown Dells. But when you're there, you're in the middle of nowhere. There's a big pond across from where we park. There's 50 amp service, new sewer lines, new water lines, paved roads, tons of trails through the woods, huge in-ground pool, a DNR ramp into the Lake Wisconsin, and it's cheap. It's a great place to visit in Wisconsin. I just wanted the Ho-Chunk RV Resorts, and it's a great place.
All
Thank
right.
you guys for your time.
Thank you, Fred. We appreciate the call. This country is so large and so beautiful, isn't it, Sam?
Oh, it's amazing. There's so many beautiful places. I've been to the Dells and all through that area when I was a younger man, and you know, the caller is exactly correct. Fred's just right on the money. It is a stunningly beautiful place to visit.
Absolutely. Well, as it's sometimes said, some people go on vacation, other people live there.
Yeah, now, if he called originally and asked about the lights, and so I want to say we've just done at the Freedom Center some really, we've invested a lot of money in different lighting technology to do some tests, and we've got some results back now. And so the headlamp that won our test, as far as brightness and usefulness and convenience per dollar, was the NC33. It's made by Nitecore. The weapon light that's going on, the modern weapon light, the state-of-the-art thing that's going on our CQB weapons, our AR-15s and AR-10s and that type of thing, is a Claris light. That's the XG12. And as far as a handheld flashlight, about the size of a can of soda, the most cost-effective light was the JetBeam T6. Absolutely amazingly bright, like 4,000 lumens, and the flashlight, you can buy it for under $200. And it is incredible. It uses 4 18650 lithium cells. You won't believe how bright this light is and how much light this little light throws out there. It is remarkable. And for the money, it's probably the brightest light, convenience cost-wise, probably the best bang for your buck. Now, if you want to spot and you want to spotlight and you want to throw light a long distance, the Nightcore TM38 won that test. It would light a target up at 1,400 meters.
That's incredible. The whole technology with flashlights and spotlights and weapons lights it just keeps getting better all the time, doesn't it?
Well, these HP35 and HP70 LEDs and these SBT70 and SBT90 LEDs, when you push them with the right computerized current from these lithium batteries, it is incredible the amount of light they put out. You just have to see it to believe it.
Amazing. Nightcore is one word. It's night as in day and night. It's core, C-O-R-E. And you have these in stock, it sounds like to me.
Yeah, we do. We try to keep them in stock. They're so popular now, though, that our weapon lights, I ordered 17 of them and sold out of them. My headlamps, I sold out of them. I placed a new order. We just got a new order of headlamps in yesterday, or the day before yesterday, came Friday. And we've got a bunch of 12 XG. The weapon lights are now on back order. We should have them in about 3 days.
I was wrong. Nightcore is actually N-I-T-E, Nightcore, isn't it?
Yep, it's N-I-T-E-C-O-R-E.
Right.
And Jet Beam is just like it sounds, J-E-T-B-E-A-M. And Claris is K-L-A-R-U-S.
Okay, I was just making some notes myself because it's all this technology. This fascinates me and how it's going, where it's going, how small, how powerful, how relatively inexpensive these things are. It's just truly amazing.
Well, you can buy this high-end headlamp for like $65. You can buy the Claris for under $100 for a weapon light. You can buy the handheld, super bright flashlights for anywhere from $165, $170 to $380. But the thing you have to remember is you have to have, with these newer, really super bright lights, you can't just buy any 18650 battery. You've got to have a high drain cell that's a high performance cell. It's got to be at least 3,400 milliamps, and it's got to be at least 10 amp, rated for 10 amp a drain.
Now, which one was making the powerful spotlight? Which one of those manufacturers?
The 1,400 yard throw?
Right.
That's a Nightcore TM38.
Okay.
They call it the Tiny Monster.
Okay. TM38. All right.
Yeah, that's
amazing.
And we sell them cheaper than you can buy them anywhere on the internet. So if you're interested in the high end light, let me know.
Okay. Well, I'm definitely interested. We have use around here for these very powerful spotlights for security purposes, and that's good to know because I encourage people to, if they need a high-end flashlight, to give Sam a call at 417-718-2597. Let them know what it is you're looking for, and you'll help with it, won't you?
Absolutely. You know, John, I had a buddy over the weekend that was a big survival show guy. He watches 3 or 4 of these different survival shows on TV, and we were talking about starting a fire in a primitive environment. And I pulled out my 4-inch diameter magnifying glass and my TM38 flashlight, and I lit a fire up in front of him in about 4 seconds. The look on his face was priceless.
That's funny. Well, something most of us did as children was start fires using sunlight and a magnifying glass, but that didn't happen in 4 seconds.
Oh, these flashlights, I'll tell you what, they have a lot of protection on them. They have lockouts on the switches because if they inadvertently come on in your luggage, They're gonna light your clothes on fire.
Amazing. Absolutely
I
amazing.
take the batteries out of them when I travel. I don't take any chances. I just pull the batteries out and store them in a plastic case when I travel. I don't leave them in the lights.
Well, it could be dangerous. That thing gets turned on inadvertently. It could start a fire, couldn't it?
Yeah, and when we travel with a weapon system, we'll take the tail cap and we'll unscrew it to the point where the light will not come on. It can't be lit up. We'll back the tail cap off, and then we'll go an extra turn to make sure. And that way, there's no way that in the gun case when you're traveling that you can light that thing up and melt stuff inside your gun case.
The things we need to consider. Absolutely, the things we need to consider.
Yeah, the technology's all new. The technology's all new. You need safety procedures. You need to pull the battery. You need to know what you're doing. It's not like a D-cell mag light you can just throw in a suitcase and travel with. These things are powerful, and they got a lot of juice, and they make a lot of heat when they come on.
Amazing. Absolutely amazing. So this one, it goes 1,400 yards. What's that model again?
It's a Nightcore Tiny Monster 38.
Tiny Monster 38. Okay.
Called a TM38, and you want to get with that gun. You want to order 4 batteries. You want to order 4 Olight. That's OGHLIGHT. 4 Olights, or maybe OLIGHT. They're 3,500 milliamp high drain 18650 batteries. So 18650 is the designation on the lithium cell. And you want to get an Olight high drain 3,500 milliamp version of that 18650.
All right. Well, we need the details, because without these the proper accessories and batteries and so forth, you end up with a expensive paperweight, don't you?
Yeah, that's why we test everything. You know, we've tested probably 15 different types of 18650s, and you can buy them anywhere from 2,500 milliamps up to 3,600 milliamps, and sometimes, like the 3,500 milliamp Olight will last longer than the 3,600 milliamp Polaris or Nightcore light, or Nightcore battery. So, you know, it pays to test these things and just to see what works the best and see which batteries are the most reliable and will give you the most recharges. And we found that the Olight 3500s are just at the top of the heap.
Well, that's good to know. That's very good to know. Okay, let's move on from there, Sam. What do you want to talk about next?
Well, I think we've covered handguns a little bit. We've covered triggers. Let's talk about price points on handguns.
Okay, good.
We like to recommend the SCCY CPX-2 for a low-cost 9mm handgun that's concealable. It comes with a 12-round magazine. It's very thin. It's very compact. It's a reliable pistol. It has a double-action strike feature. So if you hit a dead primer, you can just pull the trigger again and possibly light the round off in a defensive situation, which is kind of a nice feature for an inexpensive pistol. Good barrels, good accurate barrels, and good reliable magazines, and you can get that pistol for under $230.
Really? And what's that model? Make and model again?
It's made by SCCY. That's the name of the company. People call them Sky. But it's SCCY, and the model of the pistol is a CPX-2.
Charlie Papa Sierra 2?
No, Charlie Papa X-Ray.
Okay. Charlie Papa
CPX.
X-Ray 2. Okay.
X-Ray 2. Dash
Right.
2. And so on the low end of the concealable handgun, we like that. On the higher end, we like the FNS 9C. It's made by FN Herstall, and it comes with 3 different magazines. Comes with a 12-round magazine with a pinky extension, so you can get your whole hand on the grip. It comes with a 12-round magazine without the pinky extension, so you can conceal it in a deep concealment rig or in an ankle holster. And it comes with a 17-round magazine. And this is a small, compact 9mm that is eminently reliable and is flexible and can do whatever you want, and it's incredibly accurate pistol. Great trigger system as well. So if you're looking for a higher-end 9, and these are about $560, $580, depending on where you find them. But for the money, I don't think you can buy a better concealed carry pistol than the FN9C.
FN, is that what you carry?
No, I carry an FN 45 open carry. I don't carry concealed very often.
Okay. Well, I'm a big fan of 45 myself and always have been. There's a place for the 9mm. If you need something that's small and compact, that's where the 9mm really shines, doesn't it?
Well, in a concealed carry environment, the 9 is really effective because you can carry more rounds in a smaller package. But the other thing about the 9, to its credit, is the new Corban ammo is putting out 450 foot-pounds of energy out of a 9mm concealed carry pistol. That is standard pressure 45 ACP energy levels.
Right, right. Well, that's extraordinary, and they still keep it within the safety limits, don't they?
They sure do. It's a great round. Corban Plus P, they make it in the 90 grain, they make it in 100 grain. Tremendous amount of energy in these rounds. They're extremely effective. So in a concealed carry environment, I'd rather have a 9 with the Plus P ammo. In an open carry environment, I'd rather have the 45 with the ammo we make at the Freedom Center.
Sounds like your Freedom Center USA is a one-stop shopping for anything and everything tactical. Pretty close, isn't it?
Yeah, we've got the tactical and long-range hunting side covered pretty well. And the great thing about shopping at the Freedom Center is everything we sell works. We don't sell things to make money. We sell things that work. My job is to keep my customers alive, and we sell things that are eminently reliable, and we try to carry the lowest cost thing that really works well, and then the pinnacle of technology that's available. We try to at least have those two price points in just about anything you might be interested in.
Hold that thought. We got a break. We'll be right back. All right, we're back, ladies and gentlemen. Our last few minutes here with Sam Andrews down there in Lebanon, Missouri. Sam, what words of wisdom do you want to leave these folks with these next 3 minutes?
Well, I think in the current political environment, we've stayed away from politics today, but I think it's really important to understand that Washington, D.C. Republicans are now pushing red flag gun control. And I don't want you to email your senator. I don't want you to do that type of thing. What I really want you to do is to call their office. Find out who your senators are in your state and call their office in D.C. and tell them you will not tolerate any red flag gun control, and you will find someone to run against them in a primary if they support anything of the type. And I think that's a really important step. When the phones start ringing off the hook, these senators start paying attention. And I think it's worth the 3 minutes to look up who your senator is, call their office, and tell them no more gun control. We're not going to tolerate it. We're not going to comply.
Absolutely. And if you want to magnify your impact, Gun Owners for America is truly the pro-gun group, aren't they?
Yeah, I would stay away from the NRA. I wouldn't give them a dime. They have corruption problems. They are really a gun control organization that supported every major piece of gun control legislation since 1934. Stay away from the NRA. If you're going to give your money, you're going to join an organization, you want to fight for the Bill of Rights. Gun Owners of America is a great place. They have teams of lawyers fighting these gun control laws in court and challenging them all over the country. Great group of people, great leadership, and they're spending your money wisely. So that's the place to contribute if you have some spare funds.
Absolutely. I could not agree more. Well, Sam, thank you for being with us as always, and your signature send-off, please.
Well, guys, let's let freedom ring this week and enjoy the day. Thank you, John.
Absolutely. Thank you, Sam. We'll be talking next Monday. All right. Tomorrow we're going to have, I hope, we'll have Steve Ben-Noon with us the first hour, and second hour we'll have Leon Green. Wednesday morning, first hour, Professor James McCann should be back from whatever hot, humid jungle he's been in, first hour, and Jeff Nyquist, second hour. Our usual lineup with interesting guests, and as always, of course, we take your questions, calls, and comments here at Republic Broadcasting at 800-313-9443. It'll be a fun, full week, and the last week of the month. And this time moves forward. The time to get ready for what's coming at us is right now. It is right now. So you need to be sure you do that. Do whatever you need to do to get ready for yourself. And just get prepared. That's about all I can say is get prepared. That would be a really wise thing to do. If you would like to contribute to Republic Broadcasting, we certainly need your donations. The details at Republic Broadcasting's website. And don't forget to get your energy cleaner. If you've got arthritis pain, joint pain, you need an energy cleaner. It will help you tremendously. The prepper tip of the week, of course, was to get your dental work caught up. I know you won't like it. I know it could be unpleasant. I know all those things. Of course I do. But do it anyway. You'll be very glad you did. There'll be enough going on during a crisis without having to deal with that. That's it for the day. Get your medical supplies, your energy cleaning, your essential oils now while you can, your firearms ammunition. Never, ever